A new warming pump in the operating room. We currently have the Striker unit. We're changing over to a 3M unit. We have Andrew Rutherford here. He's our local rep. He's from Knoxville, so it's kind of nice to have somebody local. What's the company they're going to?
Technically, it's called Solventum.
Solventum.
Yeah.
So
3M
he's
spun
gonna
off the whole healthcare division. So
he's gonna do a
healthcare
quick
company.
in-service on this pump.
Okay, like you said, I'm Andrew. You're going to go to Bear Huggers. Has anybody ever used the Bear Hugger before? Yes. Okay. Good. Everybody should be fairly familiar with it. Striker units are be going away. All we're waiting on is rolling carts. They're supposed to be here next Tuesday, so they can roll them out pretty soon after that once they get them all assembled on the stands. I'm just going to go a quick run through on the unit itself. There's no on or off button. Okay, so when it's plugged in, it's already on. You're just going to select the temperature that you want, and that will initiate the heat blowing through it. It'll take it a couple minutes to start warming up once you've got it on. Fan setting over here is defaulted to the high fan speed. Really, if you need to aggressively warm someone, I would go with that high fan speed. If not, use the lower fan speed. You'll notice that this thing will inflate pretty big like a raft. One of the biggest things I hear is just, hey, it's really puffy. It's hard kind of keeping it controlled. You can throw a sheet over top, but we want this directly on patient's skin. And then you can put a sheet over top, just kind of keep it there. Other than that, use the lower fan speed. It's the same heat temperature coming out. It's just going to be a little less buoyant. With that, your high, medium, and low on the heat is in Celsius. But if you're like me, you don't really know all that. So it's 109, 100, and 90. There is an ambient setting on here. That is room temperature. This is not technically approved for a cooling device. So whatever temperature in the room is what's going to blow through here. That's the closest thing to cooling that you'll get on this device. These will be sitting on a little rolling cart. They're not going to be mounted on your walls because they're too heavy. You'll notice there's a little space underneath. You can stash some blankets. It looks great for storage, but only fill it about halfway up. There is an air intake underneath, and if you pack these too full, it'll block that, and we don't want to cause this thing to overheat. So you can throw a few in there, but I wouldn't do more than that. Standby mode, that's your kind of off button. Once it's on, if you want to get it into just regular, nothing blown out, just hit standby. Blanket itself, you all use one size, right? Full bodies only? Okay. So this will be the full body blanket. You'll see. You want this softer side that's got the little holes on it to go directly on the patient's skin. Okay? If you use any straps or strings, whatever, make sure it's underneath, not over top, because we don't want to block and occlude the airflow. So once it's on, you'll notice that there's not going to be any inflation at the top or at the very bottom, because we're not needing to warm at the top or at the feet there. But you want the hose port to be down at the bottom, dead center. All you're going to do is bust it open with your finger. Take the hose here, insert it in. You'll notice there's a little ridge piece right here on the hose. Do not go past that. We're not shoving it all the way up, just right up to that line. Pincher on, and boom. Like I said, it'll take a couple minutes. On here, you'll notice there is going to be a number. There is a little sensor at the end of our hose, and that number is telling you what the heat is coming out of this. So after a couple minutes, that number should match the temperature you selected that you're wanting to blow the air through. Like I said, that's on your full fan speed. If you back it down a little bit, it just deflates it a little bit. Easier to control manage. Like I said, you can put a sheet, something over top of it if you want, just to kind of weigh it down a little bit. But other than that, it's a quick placement. Pop the tube out. Go on your way. Any questions?
Does it rip if tape gets on it as bad as the other one?
I don't know how bad the other one does.
I mean, if it accidentally got tape on it, it literally ripped a hole in it and it wasn't any good anymore.
I haven't seen that. Not saying it won't happen, but you all see far more of that type of stuff than I do. I'd just be gentle with it if you get tape on it.
Okay.
Just try not to
And
Hair, I
being,
mean-
being directly against the skin, there's no risk of
No.
burns or anything.
No. Now, the little holes in here are all over it to evenly distribute that heat. You're not gonna have, actually since you're getting rid of it, so with the striker, you'll notice there's hot spots on it. If you look under like a heat map when they do studies on it, you'll see hot spots on it. With this, it's completely evenly distributed, and you want it directly on the skin if possible. We don't want to put a layer of blankets or anything underneath, because then the patient's not gonna be getting the warmth from the blanket.
And when did you say we would see these out in the areas?
So the rolling carts will be here. It's supposed to be here Tuesday, which is actually a week earlier than they were initially scheduled for. I plan on coming out. If they do, I'll plan on being here next Wednesday to start helping assemble them on the rolling carts. You all are free to roll those out as soon as you get your blankets. I think they're at the Concordance warehouse. I think Tim's got them in. It's just you all getting them brought over here. So that's to your discretion on.
So hopefully they'll be here by the 24th and be out in the areas no later than the 25th. That's our plan.
Maybe by Friday.
27th.
I mean, even if I assemble them, I know that Roxanne, they're gonna have time to go and swap everything out on
Right.
the same day. But hopefully by end of next week.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah.
So you're saying put this directly on the skin and the safety strap underneath it?
Yes. So if you put a strap over top, what you're gonna do is, what you saw how puffy it was. When you put a strap over top, it's gonna block and impede the airflow. So you're gonna see like an indention, and the airflow is not gonna evenly distribute throughout the entire blanket.
So we usually put a blanket underneath our safety strap. Is that okay?
You don't.
That way it's not on the patient. the safety
And
strap.
yes, I understand that part of it. If you're going to do that, maybe try to limit to only that specific spot and do something lighter weight, because we don't want anything blocking the body from the little holes in the back of this. We want that airflow to be as close to direct skin contact as possible.
Did everybody hear that? Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you.